Who are you and where are you from?
My name is Chris Kehrer. I am a Savannah native, but I live in Beaufort County.
All right. And what do you do?
I'm a naturalist and operations coordinator for the Port Royal Sound Foundation, my 501c nonprofit, looking to protect and preserve this area.
And that's where we're at, right?
That is where we're at.
And we're right on what river?
This is the Chessie River.
All right. And so, has the climate changed much since you were a kid?
Yeah, I would say it has. Looking more at major climatic events, more so than long-term climatic changes, I would say would be the most notable thing. Growing up in this area, I would say I probably endured one hurricane in 2 decades, and then in the past 5 or 6 years we've gone through 2, 3, 4 hurricanes and tropical storms in the area. So pretty significant.
And how about temperature or?
There is a lot of water quality done in the area, and definitely indicators of rising temperature. I know University of South Carolina in Beaufort has done extensive water quality data research on the May River, which is in Bluffton, just south of us here, and they've indicated several degrees Celsius change in the past decade or so, and that is average temperature, yearly average temperature, not just in single instances of change.
And in your job, I guess you're concerned about the environment every day. And are you worried about it? And by the way, what's going on locally? Is there sea rise or anything change in the vegetation or the types of fish that come through, or?
I wouldn't say there's major shifts in animal populations. As far as vegetation, our salt marshes here actually tend to be extremely resilient. Given the space to move, this marsh moves. Given the space to rise, the marsh literally rises up. The biggest factors that are going to affect that is development in our area. More development along marsh edges is definitely going to inhibit that marsh migration from occurring.
Is that happening?
Yeah, definitely. That would definitely be one of the biggest, I guess, challenges this county or any coastal community faces is development. That's where 80% of our world's population lives, and people want to come and retire and live along the coast. So we happen to be one of those places that's actually pretty pristine compared to other coastal communities where you see very little development. There's no major industry on our waterways in Beaufort County. Our watershed's extremely small, only having 3 counties affecting it, and those counties are extremely underdeveloped, mainly agriculture, tree farms, etc. So as a pristine body of water here, and as our organization, we look to protect it in as many ways as we can. And you mentioned or asked me about what's going on in the community. I would say that this community is really focused on protecting it. I think a lot of people here, I would say the bulk of the people living in the county are not from here. They move here, and they move here because of the beauty of the area. These expansive salt marshes, these waterways. So I think that when people learn about them, they have a sense of ownership over it, and they look to protect it. So there's a lot of great organizations here doing good work.
And I understand there's a big tidal change when it comes in and out here,
8.5 feet.
10 feet or whatever.
Yep.
Is there any sea level issues?
So again, the 8.5 foot tidal swing is a massive swing. For most people on the East Coast, they do not experience that or anything near that. We had several king tide events this year. The most recent one was 10.5 foot swing. So if you can pan out and you can look at the marsh over there, that was all completely covered in water. Could not see any marsh at all. Just water completely engulfed the entire surrounding area. Again, going to the fact that we are a pretty underdeveloped community, that the effects of this area were not that severe. Not saying that they won't be severe in the future, and not saying that there probably weren't a few houses that were flooded because of that king tide. But when you go to areas like Savannah or Charleston that are concrete as far as you can see, you know, they have a single rain event and they have city streets flooded. They have very little green space, and you know, there are a lot of great groups in those areas doing good things, but we are just fortunate enough that that development sprawl that occurred in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s never really touched this area. So we're doing our best to maybe protect it for what it's still worth.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future and climate overall?
I always try to be optimistic, but I will say that I am a realist. And there are major hurdles, and if things don't change pretty rapidly, I would say that the effects that are going to occur are pretty irreparable. I don't think anything's going to stop climate change from happening. We just can slow the rate at which it happens. We just need to be smarter about what we do, how we develop, what products we make and use. So I think it's a cultural shift that needs to occur.
And this isn't one of the worst places for climate change impact on human beings, is it?
I would say no. You do see some old remnants, not really anymore. If you were to go out to several of these barrier islands out here, you would see houses that were on stilts and at one point had beachfront property or even marshfront property, and that's gone. Those houses are gone. They're consumed by the ocean. So there is definitely at one point in time maybe you saw some major effects, but compared to other areas in this country and the state, yeah, we definitely are not feeling the brunt of it, I would say.
I guess one last question. I mean, is there what are you currently working on?
Myself, our organization.
Yeah.
We are actually looking to promote research in the area. Very little research is done in this area simply because the organizations conducting research in the state are based out of Charleston or Georgetown County. And so we find that there's a huge need for that, especially knowing that this area is so pristine and so unique amongst coastal communities. So right now we're working with Department of Natural Resources, universities, local, state government, to promote and fund extensive research projects in this area. In a couple weeks, we'll be releasing the first State of the Sound report, which is essentially a report card that's been compiled with data that's been essentially put away for years and decades. And we've done the work and have created the funding to put it all together and release it as a public document.
Well, fantastic. Thank you very much on this, the 10th of January, here in South Carolina. And are we in a town or are we just...
Technically, this is Okatee.
Okatee, okay.
This is part of Port Royal, but we're in a pretty unique place. We're in the middle of the county, and there's not much around us, just us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.